Do a playback real quick. It's good. It's good. We're good to go. Okay. So, okay. That was gonna fall. Okay. Okay. So, what I basically just wanted to get into was like family trauma. So some of the things that I've gone through that I had to overcome when it comes to family validation. I guess this could be an episode about validation. Well, no, I ain't gonna say that because it's about family trauma. So one of the things I had to get over was validation. When I was growing up, I had found it hard to do stuff without feeling like I needed people to say, hey, like, I like what you're doing, or hey, I see what you're doing. Ooh. Or like, just be like, you're doing an amazing job. Because I feel like, for me personally, I didn't get that a lot growing up. And I know I didn't. So I'm not going to say feel like. I know I didn't get that a lot growing up. So I didn't get it enough to where it affected me in my adult life. As I was able to continue on, I was able to recognize it because I would find myself, especially like with love, seeking validation and not feeling like I was enough because somebody wasn't giving me that, oh, I missed you, or how have you been, or do you need something, just being there, you know what I mean? Because I have never experienced it and I wanted that because I hadn't experienced it. And that's what validation is, just kind of is. Like, you want people to praise you and be like, you're doing such an amazing job. And for someone who lacked it for so long, I had learned to give it to myself. And I know people are like, how did you do that? Like, it was just something that took time for me because now I'm at a better place with it. Like, a whole nother place with it. Like, I don't need nobody to come at me and be like, oh, you're doing a good job. I'll be like, thank you. But in my head, it's like, okay. Because it's like, I already know, if that makes sense, because I validate myself now. I don't need people to validate me if I can validate myself. Especially like when I used to work in sales, like it was this thing where they'd be like, oh, you look good. Oh, real good. Nobody ever told me that for real. So I used to have to go to the mirror in the bathroom before I went to work and tell myself that, because it made me realize and understand that I don't need validation from outside people when I can validate myself and give myself those praises. So I feel like, for one, that was one of the things I had struggled with when it comes to family trauma, because everybody we used to just be like, oh, you suck, or it was always negative. It was never anything positive. It was just like, even now, like, crazy to say, nothing. Like, people will go on there and act like, just so people can see, like, oh yeah, I'm supporting them. But behind closed doors, it's not that. So I don't want people getting on here making it seem like they just be doing that and nobody ever really just for real was like there for me in that sense. I can say one person, but and the crazy part is she won't even relate to me. She like my Mexican auntie. Sandra, you ever see this video? I'm talking about you. But even then, with her, like, I feel like I overdid it in a way, because for me, like, I had to pull myself back into me because I felt like I was overly needy at one point because I wasn't always given to, if that makes sense. Like, how, like, people give you stuff, but like, it's different when people give you stuff because they care about you. Like, I had a friend, like, a long time ago, an old friend. I'll just say friend. Back then, I used to call her that. So, you know what? That was then. That was then me. Then me had a friend, okay? The friend at that time, like, I had invited her up to my party or whatever out here. I had paid for the rides to get here. Bought that girl clothes on my birthday. Never do that shit again. You know what? I ain't gonna say that. Cause she needed it. She didn't have no money. Like, and I was like, you know what? want her to be able to come up here. I want her to be able to enjoy herself. So I'm spending my money on her and me. I was working 2 jobs, so that money was coming. But still, like, I was like, damn, I could have did so much other stuff with that money. But I did out of the kindness of my heart because that was my friend at that time or whatever. And I had never got that in return. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm gonna just do this because you're my friend, or oh, I just want to help you because you're my friend. It was just like, girl, you ain't never got no money, or like, girl, why do you even come? Like, you know what I mean? But you know, if your friend wants you there, your friend is going to take the initiative to get you there, obviously, because I have done it several times. And maybe it's just me, you know what I'm saying? But for me, that was like a part of my trauma growing up, because my family, like, they never gave it to me. So it affected my friendships, relationships, and work, and so on. So now, you know, I don't need that from anybody. I just give it to myself. You know, you tell yourself, I love you. And that's why I tell people all the time, like, if you ever feel like you're missing something, if there's ever something that you feel like you're lacking, especially for me personally, so you guys can help get this, you have to ask yourself, what am I lacking? It's like an introspection. Yeah, my lips is dry because we're not home. Unless you buy me some lip gloss, you shouldn't be saying nothing. You should not be saying anything. So anyways, yeah, like that, it affected me a lot, to a point where now I don't really care for validation. So now it's like harder. Like, it's like you work on one thing, you start healing one thing about yourself, and then something else pops up. And you're like, oh, where did you come from, little birdie? It's like, I've always been there. You just didn't see me yet. It wasn't my time yet. But anyways, so yeah. But it's all about introspecting, like reflecting. You know that book, what's that book? The shadow work book. Oh my gosh. I seen that book. I should have wrote my own at this point. Because I was like, dang, I wish I would have known about that shadow book journal a long time ago, because you know that I would have needed that like years back. Like years. Oh yeah, so for y'all who don't know, I started my spiritual journey when I was 18, when I really started like shifting into my like spiritual thing instead of religion. So I don't believe in religion. I don't believe there's just one way to serve God. A lot of people, they judge themselves off of being one way. In reality, God has made us in several different ways. So for me personally, I will never be a person to just be like one way, because he didn't make us that way. So if he ain't put us in a box, why would I put myself in that box? You know, I don't know if that makes sense. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of people do that, and for me growing up, that was a part of the reason why I felt like I needed validation, because I was putting myself in the box that was suffocating me, wanting to break free, be myself, you know, because sometimes that can also come from that, because it's like sometimes you can feel like you're being yourself, and sometimes you feel like there's just not enough, you know. It's like some people are going to make you feel like you're not enough, and I've had to excuse me if I'm tumbling my words a little bit, but I've had to understand that, and I've had to learn that for myself, because I didn't realize like how many people was out there just trying to make me feel bad about myself, just to make me feel bad about myself. Like, it was really nothing wrong with me. Like, and the whole time growing up, like, I'm so glad I've come out of that. I used to tell myself, like, I used to always ask myself, like, what is wrong with me? Like, why are you acting like that? You know what I'm saying? This and this and that. I used to speak really negative over myself, because that's what I was always getting. People were always asking me, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying now? Why are you acting like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't even be mad, or you shouldn't be sad. Like, basically my feelings weren't validated enough. And that's another part of what growing up in a toxic household did to me. Like, I didn't feel validated in my emotions. I didn't feel validated in myself because of the people around me. And it's not that I didn't love myself. I love myself in ways that I did not see because I was too blinded by what everybody else was thinking of me. So if you ever find yourself confused, like when it comes to who you are, just take a moment to reset and ask yourself, where am I in this current moment and where do I plan on going? Or who am I in general? Because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't. And that's okay, because we live in a world where they don't want you to know who you are. They want you to be confused about who you are. So then you won't feel a sense of empowerment and, and just grow and actually want to live. If you look at the world now today, a lot of people don't want to live. Like, I even thought about, the crazy thing, especially when I was a kid growing up, when I didn't feel validated and stuff, because it was like, dang, if nobody else loves me, like, why am I even here? At one point I really used to feel that deeply. Like, I was like, nobody loves me for real. Like, my mama don't love me, my daddy don't love me, like, my friends ain't shit. Like, I have nobody around me that actually cared for me. And I realized I was overgiving as well. So, especially if you're an overgiver, like, you have to watch out for toxic people, especially family, because they will take, and expect you to give them everything. And then when you say no, that's when the problem comes. And see, I did not realize that as a kid, like, when I told people I didn't want to do something, why it was such a big deal. I thought, like, I was really tripping. Everybody was like, oh, you always got a problem. Like, everybody always made it seem like I was the issue. And then when I called stuff out about how everybody else was treating me, they would still put it on me. So for me, it was just for me, I felt like it was a lose-lose situation. Like, if I speak up, it's gonna be a problem. If I don't speak up, it's gonna be a problem. So for growing up, for me, that personally was an issue. Now I can say my self-expression has changed a whole lot because I just don't care. My self-expression has changed because I've learned to validate myself and not care how other people see me. And if you can come out of, like, not caring, especially like how your family sees you, oh, you ain't gonna care about nobody. You're not gonna care about anybody after that, I promise you. You're not gonna care about nobody, how they feel, what they got to say, how they look at you. You're not gonna care because you've grown from that. But I just know a lot of people, like especially like as a kid, a lot of us will run from our emotions and then say, like, oh, that doesn't matter. And then after a while, it comes up again, and you're trying to figure out why you still feel the way you feel. But it's not that it didn't matter. You just chose to not acknowledge it. Or maybe it didn't matter, but you still didn't acknowledge it. When it comes to emotions, a lot of people like to ignore those, especially men. I don't get y'all sometimes. And the women nowadays don't make you no better because they want to be just like niggas. Like, I never understood when women be like, oh, you a dog, I'm a dog too. Nah, baby, you a dog, I'm gonna set you free. Go be for them streets. Go be in the streets, go deal with the strays, because you obviously don't like being at home, okay? So, yeah, for me, it's just like, yeah. But I just never understood that. I think a lot of women nowadays are so, like, hurt and bitter over, things, especially like older women, like women way older than me. Like, I was like, dang, people be hurt, but they really hurt. They is hurt. And I know it's probably from childhood wounds. Like, I've seen so many people, like, especially in my own family, and I used to be like, what, dang, why they act like that? And then I seen the pattern in between different people, and I was like, oh, I see I see where it comes from. Now, that's another thing. Dealing with toxic family members, if you can recognize, if you always see a certain pattern in people, pay attention to that. Because it's telling you something. Especially if it's intentional. People will do it intentionally. They'll try to, mess with you. And I've had that a lot, especially with family. Like, intentionally want to piss me off. It made me feel bad. They be calling me broke, all kinds of crazy stuff. But money ain't never been a big deal to me because I know I'm blessed regardless. Like, God provides. So why would I be stressed? Even when I don't look like I got something, I still got something. I still got myself. And that's what, I like about myself. That's what a lot of people don't like about me. But I've learned to realize people aren't going to like everything about me. They're not meant to. I don't like everything about other people. Shit, I hardly even like people. But it's just a thing. Ooh. And that's a no because baby ain't got no way over there. But yeah, with toxic family members, validation was definitely one of those. Self-acceptance was another one of those. Also manipulation, growing up toxic. Manipulation. I ain't never thought I would be dealing with so many manipulative ass people. How I've dealt with people in my life to now, I just know. Like, after a while, if you pay attention, you'll just know when people are full of shit. At least for me. I can't speak for everybody. But that's why I'm here. I'm trying to help y'all out a little bit because I've been feeling like I need to help y'all out for a little while now. But, yeah. Manipulation. Like, let me think of a time. Manipulation. Oh, like my mother. Very manipulative. She likes to come off to be one way. And then, in reality, she's not. Like, especially, like, people who, like, you gotta watch out for those who act like a certain way towards people out there in the world just to make themselves look good or want to feel like they're, empowered. Now, don't get me wrong. It's nothing wrong with feeling like you that. You get what I'm saying? Or feeling empowered. But it's just like, be that. If you that, then be that. Don't pretend like you that and you not that. Like, if that makes sense. So, for me, personally, I dealt with that. And one way I can explain an example, it would be if, like, example, my mom, I remember one time, like, parents, I know a lot of toxic parents do this, where they'll be like, they'll ask you to do something, and then, like, you'll say no, and then they'll either argue with you, like, oh yeah, I already said this though. So yeah, the arguments, she was the one that was doing it. So she was the one that was doing that with the little arguing thing. So it would be like, I didn't want to, like, she'll hand me a dish, right? Mind you, it was one day, right? There was no dishes in the sink, nothing. She's in the kitchen. Mind you, anytime I would ask her to do something or, like, help me out or something like that, she'd be like, God gave you 2 hands. God gave you 2 feet. You right. He sure did bless me. And he blessed you as well. So, with that in mind, the next time came around and she asked me to do something, she was like, oh, can you wash out this spoon for me? She was in the kitchen. She was literally in the same kitchen as me. She just didn't want to do it because she felt like as if I'm supposed to be her Molly maid. Oh yeah, so let's, hopefully this video is only 30 minutes long. But, so yeah, so I'm cooking so I can smell food. So yeah, she was mad. She was real mad. She was like, don't ask me for shit. I told her no. She said, don't ask me for shit. She said, you always want something, but this and this and that. Mind y'all, I have never been the spoiled child. I've always been humble. I've never been the spoiled child. Nobody has ever just came and just gave me shit just to give me shit. 9 times out of 10, if they gave me something, it's because they wanted something in return. It wasn't just the, oh, I love you for real. It's, oh, you gonna pay me back? Oh, okay. Or you remember this and this and that. It was never just, oh, I love you. Here. I'm gonna do this for you because I just want to give it to you. Here. And like me being that person, like, it just threw me off because it's like, how am I being like this to y'all and y'all being shit to me? So That really pissed her off when I started doing that. And I'm glad. Because if I would have kept doing that, she would have kept having her way with me. And she would have fucked up my life even more. Intentionally. We're not going to say like it was an accident. Because it's so many times, like with my family, like, especially like my main family, my mom and my pops and my brothers and sisters. Not all of them is like this. But, like, but the ones I know, like right now, like, if I would have never started speaking my mind, they would have never changed. They would have never treated me any differently. Because even now, they still try it. You get what I mean? The only thing that has changed is me. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's something a lot of people need to make sure they take initiative to as well when it comes to family and wanting family to change. No, you just have to change. You. If you want that change in your life, it has to be you, not them. Because they can change, but that don't mean you have. And if you haven't changed and they still, acting how they're acting, they're going to keep treating you that way. But now, I don't play that. I used to kind of be a pushover. I used to. But I've always had a part of me where I just didn't give a fuck, But I think I was kind of afraid of that. And if anybody's out there who is very kind, a people pleaser, over pleasing, family, friends, because people pleasing, that's another thing. Toxic family. I used to feel like a slave growing up as a kid, because it was always like, you need to do this, you need to, like, I felt like I was a slave. And it's like, if I'm your kid, why are you trying to treat me like I'm a slave? It's like a lot of parents want their kids to do and be everything for them, but then don't want to be nothing to them. They want to treat you how they want to treat you, and then, expect you to act, oh, I love my mommy, I love my daddy, but daddy hitting you every 3 days, or talking shit to you, or telling you how you're gonna be just like all your other family members and stuff. Like, but I'm supposed to be okay with that, like, it don't really make sense. And for all those people that are parents, please watch how you treat your kids, because if you treat your kids like shit and they turn out better than you expected them to, and because you thought, oh, they ain't gonna be nothing, just because, that's another thing with parents. Don't downplay one of your kids for another kid. If you're gonna have kids, love all your kids, because you never know who's gonna be that one kid. Like, if you just assuming off of little things and you're not allowing your child to grow and flourish and be who they can be, you don't know, because you're choosing. You're picky. You're like, oh, no, I like this one more than I like that one, Or some parents are just jealous of their kids, which I find very sad, because, like, who is jealous of their kids like that? Like, I would never. I ain't never been jealous of no kid unless I was a kid. You know what I mean? And even then, I ain't never been no hater for real. So I think it's just something that people should take initiative in. But these are just some of the experiences I've been in when it comes to being in a toxic household, and how I've come out of those. And growing up, in a little of the things I've experienced, even though I know I didn't go too much into details. I'm gonna come back with another version of this probably soon. But it's just something that I wanted to talk about a little bit, just to like give a little insight, you know what I'm saying? That we all go through things, but it's not about what you go through, it's how you come out of it. You get what I'm saying? And even while you're going through those things, you get what I'm saying? You have to be able to find a way to find that space within yourself that will keep you content, keep you growing. Even though I know it may be hard, because we don't know what that is, and that is okay. It's not about running away from your emotions. It's about acknowledging them, facing them, and accepting them as they are, and figuring out, what can I do next time to contribute to a different outcome when it comes to people arguing, or when people come at me treating me a certain way and I get all this animosity or anxiety or sadness. Why do I feel so sad when I'm going through this? Why does somebody saying this always amped me up. Like, you have to be the one to figure that out for yourself. I cannot help you with that. But what I can do is help you understand that it is okay to feel how you feel. Why? Because I've gone through it myself. And if I can do it by myself, from a child to this grown ass age, you can get through it too. I promise. I promise. You just gotta stay strong, you know? But I know y'all got this. Tree babies, that's what I'm gonna call y'all on here. Under the tree. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode 1 of Under the Tree podcast. To all my tree babies, plant the seed and grow. Water yourself. You know what I mean? Positive thoughts, positive changes, positive outcomes, and believe in those outcomes. Another thing I did was pray. I know a lot of people don't believe in prayer, but believe it or not, it does work. I promise you. 10 toes down, baby. I am not stopped praying a day. So, even when I was a kid. So, let y'all know, prayer does work. So I hope my tree babies come back around and see me again. I want y'all to know I love y'all, and don't ever stop loving yourself. Okay? Y'all got this. You strong. You brave. You got this. Okay? But bye, y'all.